Hi fans, welcome back to Carl Prusa MMA. Today we got a returning guest to the show. This time he's getting ready. Dana White Contender Series Week 1. He's taking on Matt Adams. He is Mr. Anthony Wint. Anthony, what's up, my friend? How are you?
I'm well, Carlo. Good to see you again.
Absolutely, brother. Last time we talked, it was before your last Fury contest. You went out there, put on a great performance, Fury heavyweight champion. What did you make of the performance looking back at it?
It was good. I mean, obviously, you get it. What was it? 37 seconds. Went in there. I think I said it after beating Miles Banks, but the walkout was longer than the fight. So interview was longer than the fight. Man, no injuries sustained. Got on the mic, said something nice, and then got out. So that's always good, man. Say the brain cells. I think in this sport, the least amount of damage you take, the longer your career is, the more money you make, the more of a legacy you can kind of extend.
Absolutely. It's kind of crazy. You've only been a pro for around 2 years now, already about a fight on the Dana White Contender Series. Are you surprised it happened this quick?
Not at all, man. Actually, the opposite, man. I think about fighting extensively. I'm a person who analyzes every situation. I don't jump into anything, just kind of like optimistically. So even before I started fighting, I kind of looked at the grand scheme of the sport. Obviously, it's younger compared to football, basketball, baseball, all the established sports. But me looking at it, me looking at the heavyweight weight class, or obviously the light heavyweight and 185, because technically I can fight at any one of those. I looked at how well I can do and how I stand up against the guys who are doing it at the highest level. And be honest with you, I thought I could get there in 2 years. This is me from amateur to pro. Doing a year as an amateur, getting 4 or 5 fights as a pro, and then going on Dana White's Contender Series. So me doing it in total, what was it, about 4 or 5 years? Was a little bit longer than I would have liked. Obviously, endured a little bit more of a process than I would have liked. But man, God is sovereign, and I'm happy to be here. So can't complain.
Already still on the regional scene, you've proven that you to be one of the most well-rounded guys in heavyweight. I think the whole thing right now. We've seen a lot of the striking. We've seen glimpses of the wrestling, the grappling. Everything's on the top level. For you, has that been the focus? Try to get as well-rounded as possible.
Not really. If I had to map out a career, and I think you go hard in the gym, you get around good teammates, which I'm at with Killcliff. I think we got a slew of guys who are well rounded, who can grapple, who can strike, really good coaches. I think that's where you get better. When it comes to fighting, I mean, people all say it all the time, man. You want to be in that 3 round war. I got that with Omar Salah and Emmanuel Verde. Obviously going the distance with Omar, and then getting a knockout lead with Emmanuel. If I don't want to do that too many times, I have to. And as far as like showing what I have, I think I'm a big, strong guy, athletic. I have the power. I think it's more so of the confidence to be able to go out there and knock somebody out. And the grappling, I know I can do that, but I've been telling people time and time again that doesn't get you paid. We can say we like mixed martial arts all we like, but people like to see people get knocked out. And grappling is more of a fail safe. If you can't do it, it sucks for you. If you can do it, don't try to use it too much to where you're boring the fans. And I'm saying that as a grappler, someone who that's I'm not gonna say it too much because my components are like me and they look at everything. I'm a better grappler than I am a striker. But if I can go out there and knock out my next 10 opponents, I'm gonna do that. Not only because it looks better, but because more likely there'll be $100,000 bonus at the end of it. And with grappling, that bonus isn't always there.
Absolutely. Last time we talked about the mental side of fighting, how important it is. You're a very calm, composed guy. Every time you fight, you seem very mentally strong. Do you take any of that from football? Did your football experience allow you to have that mental toughness?
I think a lot of it, yeah. Football is very competitive. It's a lot of fighting through adversity, figuring things out as you go, and then once you have it figured out, making sure you sharpen your tools so that you do it consistently. But I think the more you compete, the more you fight through adversity, you learn how to do it. I worked out with a group of people from my church this morning. Most of them are not athletes, and it's not their fault, but they quit pretty easily. I can fight through pressure. I was out there power cleaning 275 and doing a squat on the last one, and then we ran 2 miles, and then we did some kettlebell swings and this and that. And all of them are down like, "How do you do it?" I'm like, "Yo, it's compounding interest." So it's not just football, it's the fact that I've been working out since I was 10 years old and I know what it feels like to be in the suck. Someone who doesn't know what it feels like being in the suck, is human nature for you to sit there and quit. I don't believe in the mindset of like, oh, I'm a dog and I don't quit. I think you quit so much that you realize that quitting is an option. And then you just decide not to let that side of your brain overtake you. Um I think even when you talk about conditioning, I think you can physically get conditioned, but it's more so being efficient and knowing that, okay, I have to manage the fact that I'm getting tired. And then when you get tired, knowing that, all right, I have to turn the side of my brain off that says I'm going to die. And then there's that extra level, that elite level, where it's like, even if I do die, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to go to the point where I do die. And I think that has a lot to do with your why as well. So if we're talking about mentality, it's more so having the why that I'm going to something greater. The joy set before me is greater than the pain in front of me.
You know, when you look at mixed martial arts as a whole in the last 20, 25 years, like every aspect has evolved greatly. And I think the heavyweight division is a perfect example. Guys are more well rounded now. Guys are more athletic now. You know, guys train year round now. Do you think you're the perfect example and prototype of a new heavyweight in this day and age of martial arts?
I think I'm a great example. Yes, obviously I'm athletic, I'm quick, I'm fast. I obviously I can work on my cardio, but I think everybody can. But if I'm looking, if I was somebody this the other day, if I'm looking to build a heavyweight, I'm looking at Cyril Gahn and I'm copy and pasting him. I'm not a hater. Like, he's the champ for a reason. Only thing he does not have is wrestling, and that's where some guys are probably going to overtake him. But even with his striking, I honestly think he knows that he's that much better. He showed it with Pereira. He's that much better than a striker in most of the division. If I was him and I was his coach, I would, especially since he has the money now that he's a champion, hire some high level wrestlers and just wrestle all the time. I kid you not, he would be a hard guy to beat. And even with that, I think I match up very well with him, with my speed, with my athleticism, with my ability to wrestle, with my fight IQ. So, yes and no. I wish I was a little taller, but even being as short as I am, I have that Napoleon complex where I get a little bit more angry than a bigger guy would, because I know I'm not 6'5", I'm only 5'10" and a half.
You know, there's another guy in that division who's a former football player. He's making a lot of noise right now, Josh Hokett. Another very strong wrestler, grappler. Do you find any comparisons?
There's a lot of comparisons. Obviously, he played football, so you get that grit from the gridiron. He has a strong mindset. You know, he knows what it's like to have a collision every 15 plays, and he knows what it's like to compete on a high level, man. I think he's doing very well for himself. You know, say what he wants about his antics and the banter he has. I don't listen to all that. And be honest with you, when I watch film, I turn off the noise anyways, and I look at the fighter. Even before he could beat Curtis Blades, which maybe me and you talked about before, I thought it was a heavy jump, and I think he's a prime example of what happens when you have confidence, how high you can jump, and you can kind of make these big giants look a lot smaller because they're not that good. It's just that they've been there so long. Their hands are so big, man. They knock out people, and it puts a little fear into some people. And if I was him, I wouldn't have made that jump. I would have probably fought somebody a little bit easier in the top 15. There was a lot of better matches for him in the top 15, but he went all the way up number 5, and he's getting paid for it. So there's a lot of comparisons. Obviously, God willing, I get into the UFC. I win a couple fights. I can catch up to him. Hopefully, he doesn't lose, and I can give him his first L. Not any type of it's not personal, but I like to compete against the best, and with him. Also, Gable Stevenson. It's a bunch of other heavyweights coming up, man. The division is cooking up, and if you want to be great, you need guys like that alongside you, because I go out there and beat it. Nobody's. They're going to say, "Well, you were just in a weak division, and you're not one of the greats." But if you go out there and compete with some of the best guys in the world, and you make them look like light work, that means you're really good, man. So honestly, I'm a little jealous, man. Them dudes out there having a barbecue, they didn't invite me, but I'll tell you what, man. I'm gonna show up to the party late with my plate, and I guarantee you, I eat more than everybody.
You know, I think another aspect in which the sport has really grown and evolved is you're seeing the business side of things now. There's more sponsorships, there's more money in it. Deciding who you're fighting on the regional scene may be more important. You feel like for any fighter, do you have to have that sense of business savvy to do this?
Unfortunately, yes. It's not like other sports. And mixed martial arts is a unique sport in its own, man. You see it in other sports if guys want to. If you want to have that, you want to build your brand, you want to be a LeBron, you want to be a Jordan, you want to be all these other guys. But fighting is one of those sports where you have to be a jack of all trades. You, for lack of a better term, you got to fight and you got to pimp yourself out at the same time. I can't just fight and be like, okay, the UFC is going to push me or my management's going to push me. If I want to be one of the well-known face among the MMA community, I got to do stuff like this. I got to do the interviews. I got to talk. I got to show personality. I got to, like I'm doing now, I got to start to build a social media campaign where I'm showing my face and people see my personality. I got to have the Twitter. I got to be making comments. Now, will I say you gotta go as far as to do what Josh Hokett is doing and create this persona where you're doing things I don't want to say out of character, but creating these personas to get attention? Absolutely not. And I don't see my foresee myself doing that. But I do have to put myself out there and make my life a little bit more accessible because fights sell the fights, but also people want to. It's like a TV show. People want to be invested in the person, and the more they're invested in the person, they're either going to like you or hate you. And whether I talk, whether I say a word or not, people are either going to hate me or they're going to like me. I think a prime example is Josh, but even Alex Pereira, I think what makes him so likable, even as he lost or before he lost, I think if I had to put a number on it, at least 90% of the MMA community loved him, but that's because they couldn't understand what he was saying. I don't have the luxury of that because I speak English, but I think when you go out there and perform, it speaks for itself. But if you can go out there and say some things alongside that, you can do well for yourself on the economic side.
So where were you at when you got this phone call that you're going to be fighting on the Contender series?
I don't know, probably on the toilet, be honest with you. It wasn't, be honest with you, it wasn't a big moment for me. After knocking out Miles Banks, I know MMA math, I know what the UFC wants, I know what they expect. And when you perform, you produce. When you produce, you get rewarded. When I knocked out Miles Banks, I thought I'd be getting the call. And then I waited a month or two and they was like, they're gonna give you the Fury FC heavyweight title fight. And I'm like, okay, if that is what it is, I'm not complaining. Obviously, I would have rather just went to the Contender, but I would have had to wait till August anyways, and more likely I would have had to fight again. So after locking out Jamal Tatum, it was a no-brainer. It was just going to be a matter of who and when. Luckily, they put me on the first week, so I ain't got to wait like everybody else. And I honestly think they gave me a pretty favorable matchup when it comes to. I think anybody would have been favorable because I'm a hard guy to deal with. But I think Matthew Adams fits very well and feeds into who I am and what I can do. So it says a lot about the UFC and what they think of me.
You know, you've already proved that you're one of the more exciting guys on the whole regional scene. 6 wins, 5 of which coming by way of finish. How much pride do you take in going out there and trying to get the job done as quick as possible?
Not my pride at all, man. I think you saw with Ilya Taporia that when you kind of speak your mouth and you say you're going to do something, as a man, and this is what I've been taught for years, if you say you're going to do something, you do it. And I commend Ilya Taporia for saying he's going to go out there and knock out Justin Gaethje in the first round and trying to do it. But I think as you've been hearing amongst the people who say why he lost, that's probably the downfall of him. So I think going out get there and getting the win is the most important thing, but that's not the height of who I am. When you say taking pride, I think it's me looking at me myself as an athlete, as a mixed martial artist, as a competitor, comparing myself to this fight. I can't compare myself to any other fight, just like I did with Miles Banks and Jamal Tatum. If I look, Jamal Tatum, I mean Miles Banks, I believe was the hardest fight of the three, just by his height being 6'7" and his length. If I didn't approach that fight the way I did, it would have. I don't want to say it would have went differently, but it would have been a little bit more difficult as time would have went. But Jamal Tatum, I knew that I could knock him out within the first 2 minutes. And going into this fight, looking for skill to skill, I take pride in the fact that this is supposed to happen. He's not supposed to make it out the first round. But I also am humble enough to know that, okay, if he does make it out, don't lose your composure. Don't get overzealous. Don't feel like you're failing, because that's when your nervous system fails you. That's when you start to act out of character. That's when you make yourself susceptible to losing because you have so many expectations, man. So I try to eliminate pride. I try to go into every situation knowing that as long as you win, man, you can live to fight another day. Is Dana White gonna sign you? Probably not. But that means if I don't go out there and knock out Matt Adams, I probably need to work on some stuff anyways, and I probably need another fight or two to work out the kinks on why ever I didn't knock him out in the first round.
So overall, what do you think of Matt Adams as an opponent?
I think if you're looking at most heavyweights, he is the average, heavyweight. He's a puncher. He can grapple a little bit better than majority of the guys I fought, or probably some guys in the regional scene. But I said this when I went up there to Vegas to do the pre-media stuff for the Contender. Unfortunately for him, when you look at him and myself, everything he does well, I do better. And when you're talking about matchup, that doesn't fare too well. He may be a little bit heavier when it comes to tipping the scale, but I study everyone. Maybe eventually you'll get to talk to him. And he's been saying all the same things in interviews, that he's taking this fight seriously, that he's cutting down weight, he's trying to get in great shape. Good for him. I'm in better shape. He's a good wrestler. He wrestled in, I believe, college. He has good grappling. He's decently strong. I'm stronger and I grapple better. And we don't even need to talk about the hand speed or the fight IQ, because I know I got him there too. With all that said, a fight's a fight. And none of that stuff matters when the bell rings and whoever it is, Herb Dean or whoever else activists were ready. How fast I am, how quick I am, how tall I am, all those things don't matter because he has fists. He can just hit me in my chin, I can fall. As I just said, man, he's a great opponent. I think it says a lot about the UFC, them giving me him, because I think without him being on the card with me, without me attached, he doesn't make it to the contender series. He's not a, I don't think he's a contender series level fighter, but they gave me him so that I can do what I've done to the other guys. So it's my job to make good on my promise and meet the expectations of Hunter Campbell and the UFC of doing what they expect me to do. And I think that they're going to reward me for that if I can go out there and do that.
You know, one thing is so unique about the Dana White Contender Series is there's no walkout music. No one's calling your name. You're literally opening up a door, walking out, and fighting with like hardly anyone in the building. Do you kind of like that vibe?
Yes and no. Obviously, I think me and my walkout music. So I've had 9 fights. I've walked out to a different song every single fight. It's something I take pride in. If we're talking about pride, just setting the atmosphere, saturating the air for the fight. I think it sets the mood not only for myself but for the people in attendance to understand who I am. At least in that 1 minute, 2 minute period of okay, wow, he's walking out. It's usually worship music for me, and I love the feeling of after the fight, someone coming up to me like, "Hey, I love that workout song." My first fight with Fury, I walked out to a Brandon Lake song. It's Hard Fought Hallelujah. And I remember watching back at the videos, a girl in the crowd, she was singing it with me. And then a fist bumping the announcer, and then him afterwards like, man, I love that walkout song. So I am missing that aspect with the Contender Series, but I watched a fight with I forgot who it was. He's at 85 now. He fought Darian Abbey, he ended up knocking him out.
Dante
Right.
Johnson.
Dante Johnson, man, he came out. Remember, he came out to his continuous fight. He's talking. He's like, man, I love this. This is like sparring. So I think it adds an element of the crowd being able to hear you. Like, obviously, I can walk out in silence, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let them hear me. I don't know what exactly I'm going to say, but I'm going to let my presence be known when I walk in the cage and add a little bit of, it's at the end of the day, it's mental warfare. So add a little bit of mental fear into Matthew Adams because I anticipate them having him walk out and then you walk out first. He's the B side. And him sitting in that cage, like, what have I got myself into? Please don't lock this cage. And at that point, it's too late. Um, so I'm excited for that. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna say when I walk out, man, but it's gonna be a great moment, and the crowd's gonna feel it. I got a couple people coming out, and I know they're gonna bring some good energy as well. And it also, once I put Matthew Adams to the canvas, it gives me an opportunity to show even a little bit more zeal afterwards, man. Be able to say some stuff and it get caught on camera right after the fight. Cause that's what people watch fighting for. They watch it for emotion. And if I was on the Islam card and I knocked somebody out, it would be too loud for the crowd to hear me right after the fact. But right after the fact, all eyes are gonna be on me and all ears are gonna be on me. So I love that feeling.
Have you thought about the potential moment after the fight, you and the four winners beside you, Dana White looking at you saying, kid, come over here, get your contract?
I have extensively.
You know, for you, what would it mean to be able to fight in the UFC?
It's hard to answer that, man. It'll be the completion of a process, but the beginning of another one. Like I said, when I said yes to fighting, when I said yes to enduring on this process, I did it not just to be in the UFC or provide income for myself and my family, but to be the best in the world. And I think once you get in the UFC, you're on the path of doing that. But at the same time, like I said, I don't find too much pride in being in the UFC because I was talking to my buddy yesterday. His name is Marcus Gamble. He's a UFC fighter. I mean, he's an MMA fighter as well. A little older than me. On the back end of his career, he kind of already has the notion that he's not gonna be in the UFC. And I was talking to him, we was chopping up. He said, "Man, I just want to get one more to get that itch." I don't have that feeling. I don't need to scratch an itch. Fighting doesn't give me an itch. They interviewed me the other day. They was like, "Hey, do you love it?" I was like, "No, I don't." It's honestly something that I've been called to, and I'm kind of just walking this path, checking boxes. I'm trying to enjoy the process as I go, but I know my potential. I know I have the potential to be a world champion. And it's just going through the process to see if the Lord's going to allow me to get there. And getting to the UFC, that's something that was already confirmed to me. So when I get there, it'll be a breath of fresh air. It'll be a weight to lift off my shoulder, but it won't be something like, dang, I made it. I did it. This is something I accomplished. It'll be more so, and it's hard to say this, like, all right, we finally got it done. Because we knew we could do it. It was a matter of when, not so much if. But I will say I will be excited to get that contract and then see what kind of strings I can pull to see how quickly I can get in the UFC. I fight on the 11th. Obviously, we've seen quick turnarounds. I mean, most recently with Bison Gore Surkayev, where they let him turn around in 4 days. So I think when you go out there and perform, like I know I can perform, Dana White, they're sitting at it right there. I mean, I heard closed mouths don't get fed, man. So I'm gonna ask. And there's the 15th with the Islam fight, and then they Gregory Rodriguez and Anthony Hernandez got announced for the 22nd, and that's my teammate. So he's the main event, man. So like I said, we gotta do our job first. We gotta knock out Matthew Adams in dramatic fashion as quickly as possible, take as little damage as possible. And I don't see why they can't. And be honest with you, I'll just stay on the West Coast. I'll try to get a hotel over there and then go from Vegas to Sacramento or Vegas to Philadelphia. So we'll see.
No, I think you made a very interesting point there going to the UFC. It's the end of one journey or one chapter and the start of another. Very few people understand when you're doing this first chapter, the sacrifices are absolutely insane. You're not making Conor McGregor money. It's hard to have any sort of relationship. You're waking up early, staying up late. You're doing all this maybe for a chance to get here. Now knowing that you have that opportunity, does it really allow you to kind of look back and kind of think, all right, all this craziness I've been putting myself through, it's all worth it?
1,000%. I mean, but it's only gonna get harder. The opponent, like somebody was asking me the other day. Well, in the interview in Vegas, they were like, "What do you think about Matthew Adams?" And I was like, "He's just like every other opponent I face. I'm better than him. I don't go into this fight thinking that I should lose. Can I lose? Yes, absolutely. But I don't put in my mindset that he should beat me. If he beats me, it's something that I did wrong. But the closer and closer I get to this belt, to the end of the road, to being the best in the world, I will come across guys that, hey, it's 50-50, it's 60-40. Like, odds are saying that he's better. If I were to fight Cyril Gane, even within a year, 2 years, if I'm taking myself out of my body and just looking at him and myself, I'm picking him. He has more skill. He's bigger. He's a better striker. He's done it longer. He should be bigger and fast enough and have good enough wrestling to where he can negate some of the strengths that I have. But I'm still, that's what excites me, those matchups, because then I got to work harder. I got to have better conditioning. I got to have better focus. The things that I do well, I got to do better. So like you said, when you get to this point where, all right, the struggle is not the process, the meals, the money, the training, the time, the resources. The struggle is now the opponent and staying as locked in as you can so that even if you're outmatching him, you're making it look easy. Or when you're supposed to lose, you're proving all the dollars wrong and saying, like, dang, we had this kid wrong. He's better than this. He's better than this guy. And every time they pick you as the underdog, you're proving them wrong. And I think that's what makes a great story, is the fact that when you win the fights that you're supposed to lose and you dominate the ones you're supposed to win. So I think that's what I'm excited for, because when you get in the UFC, you're going against the best guys in the world.
Absolutely. All right, Anthony, last question for me, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome week 1 Dana White Contender Series against Matt Adams?
I'm gonna tell you right now, because I don't think Matt is. I'm not calling him stupid, but he's not that bright of a guy. When I say that, he's not gonna see this video. He's not gonna be researching the video. He's gonna look at it. But I'm gonna tell you what, Matt, he's a big right hand to double leg guy. He's gonna throw a right hand. He's gonna try to double leg me. I'm gonna sidestep to the right. I'm gonna throw a right hand uppercut and then drop him. That's best case scenario if it plays out the way it does. But that's all dependent on how Matt approaches the fight. I've been watching a lot of his interviews, and he's saying that obviously we're on a Contender Series, and nobody wants to see anybody wrestle, and they want to see us get meet in the middle and throw down. If that happens, is a 90% chance I'm gonna put him on his face. But if he fights the way I think he's gonna fight, he's gonna try to put me on the cage, he's gonna try to tie me out, he's gonna try to wrestle a little bit, and he doesn't win that battle either. So best case scenario, I knock him out in the first round. Best case scenario, I knock him out in the first exchange. I hoot and holler because there's no music and it's a little crowd. I exit the cage. I walk up to Dana White, Hunter Campbell, and who else is there. Look at that table, and just like I told you, I tell them they got two options. What is it, August 15th or August 22nd? And hopefully they pick one of those. Or maybe they pick both of them. If I can knock him out, they put me on the 15th. They give me a guy who I can start again, and then we get there on the 22nd, and we make history by winning 3 fights in a matter of what is that, 15 days, 12 days, something like that. So nobody's ever done that before. Though that's a big task. That's a big thing for me to sit here on this show knowing people are going to watch and say, because they're going to say I'm boastful. But me knowing myself, I know I can start Matthew Adams. And depending on who they give me, no matter who they give me, I got the power to knock somebody else out too. So if I don't take damage, man, I can fight every week.
There you go. Well, Anthony, man, thank you so much for taking time out of camp to talk to me. Always enjoy it. Very much deserve to be where you're at, brother. Can't wait to see you do your thing.
I appreciate you, Carlo, man. Fight fans around the world, man. Y'all keep tuning in, man. We're going to be the best in the world. Stay sharp.
Absolutely. That's it for us, Dan Carl Peruzza. He is Mr. Anthony Wint. You can watch him. Dana White Contender Series, Week 1, August 11th. Taking on Matt Adams. Take care, fight fans.
Yes, sir.